Yodaberg. We're going to invite up now Robert, who's going to be Ahan Chewy Verush Solo. Come on up. Come on up.
Come on, Robert.
Okay, Garrett, who's going to be Darth Heyman. All right. We're going to invite up And, who's going to be Vashtek. Vashtrek, sorry. Sarika is going to be Leia Esther. Sarika, come on up. All right, and then we're going to invite up David, who's going to be Morty Highwalker. Eliana is going to be C-3PO. Come on up. Come on up. Come on up. And you guys will have to bear with me for this one, okay? Although I'm dressed as Chewbacca or as the Chewbacca character, I am.
Put your mask on.
I'm standing in for Micah, who is going to be R2D2, okay? And then we have Stormtrooper Roger. That's going to be Laurie. Come on up. Oh, you're almost. Okay. And then we have Stormtrooper Bill, who's going to be Richard. And you're already up here. Okay. So, everyone who is up here, I'm going to walk away from the camera to make sure that everyone from home can see us. All right, and we're going to begin.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far away, a beautiful queen there was. Her king, Ahan Chewy Verush Solo, very proud of her he was. And to dance for him and his entourage, he demanded.
You should see that I am having the queen, where today I pick up this gold number at the slave market. It's so shiny. Hey, have a smile, but your best goes in come dance.
No.
Wow.
Oh, come on, it's just me, Darth Heyman.
Boo!
And the guys here.
No.
Just it's for, no, just do it or freeze you.
No.
Look, come out here or I feed you to a space warm and in this belly you find the will fight in you, generation of pain and sovereign as you are slowly adjusted over a 7 years. We should all eat so well.
Fine, but I'm going to sing too.
Boop a beep boop.
Agree are two. We are. This is a proper assignment. Very civilized. Mama, the dance, your street enters. Okay.
That is that. What is that?
This is my outfit. You want me to dance? I'll give you a show you won't forget.
What that was just not okay.
Didn't you like my dance?
It was all wrong. It doesn't fit. It doesn't jive with the rest of the palette, the star system, or the galaxy.
Exactly. I can't stand this universe anymore. I'm going to boldly go where no Vostrek has gone before.
The correct grammatical form would be go boldly.
Either way, I'm out of here.
Aha, Chewy Bear Solo, a king of great power he was, but live without a queen he could not. His prime minister came in a chauvinist suggestion he made.
Find yourself a new queen, my lord. You have the whole galaxy to choose from.
A great contest the king organized for a new bride to select. Mordecai Walker, brave and wise, and his cousin Leicester, wise and fair they came, descended from the desert land of Sinai. Prime they were, participate in the contest they would.
You are so beautiful, there's no way the king won't choose you as his bride. But just in case, put your hair up in side bunch like two Purim roadblack. Kings love that. Also, don't tell them you're in the Jewish Alliance.
Got it. Should I tell them about my degrees in astrophysics and comparative force literature?
Sir, real men aren't threatened by smart, accomplished women.
Was held the contest, and 3 finalists there remained.
Beep, beep, boop. Bleep, boop.
It is indeed ever exciting to have made it this far and upgrade from Android and waiting to clean a manage it.
Bleep, bleep, boop, bleep.
Yes, I also would prefer to be an elected offer, but things are done differently in this part of the galaxy.
Have you made your choice, my king?
Finally, I'm recognized as something of a beauty more than circles and programs encased in gold.
Bleep, bleep, boop, bleep, bleep, boop.
Yes, you are sure a cutie. All for the king to have and to hold. I have shown up in more than a figure that's shapely. I have talented degrees. I'm intelligent and bold. Any of us could rule well in the palace or lily. All with the king to have and to hold.
Have you made your choice, my king?
No.
Page 6.
Ooh.
I've always been attached to shiny gold things, but there's something about the little one that elect.
If you will allow me, Your Highness, these are not the bride you were looking for.
They are not the bride I am looking for with him in my mind made out that half-fetched woman with the fun hair is the one who will become my queen.
Great rejoicing in the land there was, as Queen Leicester became. The droids and her cousins chose at hand as palace advisors she kept, but conform to all palace rules, Mordecai did not.
You are new, but you will learn. You must bow to me when I pass, as all others do.
Haman, that may be the custom here. That may be the custom here, but I will not bow to you. As a member of the Jewish Alliance, I only bow my head to God and legitimate rulers. You are far from either.
You will regret this day, innocent.
Incensed Haman this did, make a plot to ruin Mordecai Walker he would. One night, upon 2 scheming guards, did Mordecai Walker come.
Page 7. Okay. You storm. Yeah, Bill.
The king is watching.
Yeah, Bill.
The king annoying, yes.
With the R-ing all the time, a little.
And the prime minister Haman. What do you think?
A bit much with the wheezing and the whining.
So what do you say we get rid of them?
We do have these laser blasters.
And you've been practicing our aim so we can actually hit our indeed targets.
We could distract them with shiny gold things and then we attack.
Perfect.
It's a trap!
How would we escape? Stormtrooper Bill?
We'll just blend in with the other troopers. We all look alike, so we'll hide out in the open until everything settles in presto. You got a new king and PM.
Best plan ever.
Tell the king of the plot. Highwalker did, and disposed of the stormtroopers were, but not everyone was happy with Highwalker.
There we go. Lucky adder 13. That's when I'll get rid of that hide walker.
Haman, I need your advice.
Of course, Your Majesty.
There is someone in the star system is this very palace who would done me great advice. How to go about honoring a person who the king wishes to honor.
Certain about him, the king was speaking. Haman, of his preferred, honors detailed.
Honor.
Great idea, do that for Mordecai Walker.
So the king ordered Haman, grudgingly did, feted and lauded Mordecai Walker was. Meanwhile, Queen Leicester plans she had.
known, ma'am, the Senate is appointed in this star system.
What about checks and balances?
Well, when it comes to the Senate, it tends to write checks without ever checking the balance.
I'll have to go to the king to discuss this.
Correct. Correct. R2, ma'am, no one goes to the king unsummoned. It's impossible.
How are we ever to get anything done around here? I'm starting to understand why the first queen left. Come on, we got more strategizing to do.
Your Majesty,
Yes, D'Artagnan.
may I beg a favor? For 10,000 silver talents, could I issue a decree that the Jewish alliance is destroyed? They are in the way of the empire.
Sure, why not? Go ahead.
When Mordecai Walker, the terrible decree to get rid of the Jewish alliance, he heard. Despair he felt. Ashes and sackcloth he wore when to Queen Leicester he went.
Help us, Leicester. You're our only hope.
I want to, but no one can approach King Ahasuerus thing solo without being summoned. To do it, so is certain death.
Not to do it is certain death too.
Truly, ma'am, the possibility of successfully navigating the place protocols is 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
You must help our people. It's up to you to save the Jewish alliance.
Okay, I'll try.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Boop, beep, loop, loop.
Really, R2, I find your lack of faith disturbing. If anyone can convince the king to overturn his own misguided enact, it's the queen, whatever the odds may be.
Dressed up for her husband, Queen Leicester got. When next he and the Prime Minister she saw invite them to the banquet, she did, twice. So beautiful Leicester was that following the second banquet, very satisfied, the king appeared.
This is a wonderful feast, my queen. Ask anything you want, and I will grant your request.
In other circumstances, I've asked for a seat in the Senate, but in these dire times...
Dire? What dire?
A dark voice has taken over this part of the solar system and determined my people would be exterminated. If you allow this to happen, I will also be slain.
Your people killed.
Yes, you have decreed the end of the Jewish alliance. I am Jewish too.
What? It's not my fault, Aaron. How did this happen?
All in the hands of Darth Hammond.
Not Kohaman, not Cole. You are no longer Prime Master, and anything you were playing for the Jewish alliance will not be only for you.
How embarrassing, Haman. It appears you are now to be the main course at this banquet.
Take him away.
Wait! I am your father!
What? No, you're not.
Oh well, I tried. Help!
Take him away.
No!
Great shot, Leicester. That was 1 in a million.
Something happened to the saber skins. I'll be campaigning for senator.
I will update our software.
Bloopy.
That's a great idea, and we all agree.
And now, everything's brighter, everything's lighter, all thanks to you.
We all learn to be loud and learn to be proud of the force of the Jews. Rejoicing across the star system there was, as the Jewish alliance the empire vanquished. Left to say, there remains only live long and, pardon me, with you may the force be.
Happy
Take it out.
You kids can pick up the mask now.
All right.
Respect my authority.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Relax, I'm not really Darth Vader. But you guys are too young to understand.
All right. All of our participants may take a seat now. I'd like to invite up Avi as we're going to prepare for our service. We're going to engage with some music at the opening of our service, and then also towards the closing of our service as well. Some of, yes, you may distribute that. It's not going to include all of the music though. It's going to be some of the music on that. Yeah.
Testing.
Which one is that?
We'll make it next year. We'll print out. Oh, that's okay.
All right, so
So we will be using your song sheets for probably later in the service, but it's good for you to have. And as we get into the mood of the service and to get ready for our Megillah reading, of course, we're going to start with some songs. Purim is a time for happy songs, for jokes, and for riddles. And this song in itself is a riddle. And we're going to start off in Yiddish, and then we'll do the English. And if you don't know any Yiddish, or if you don't know English, either is fine. We can sing the chorus, which goes like this. Tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, laika, spiel balalaika, tumbala, laika, freilich soll sein. Tumbala, laika, spiel balalaika, tumbala, laika, freilich soll sein. Try that again with me. Tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, laika, spiel balalaika, tumbala, laika, freilich soll sein. So here is the riddle. Tell me, I'd like to know what it is that needs no rain to grow. What's not consumed, although it is burning? What weeps no tears, although it is yearning? Together. Tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, laika, spiel balalaika, tumbala, laika, freilich soll sein. So here is the answer to our riddle. Oh, didn't you know a stone does not need rain to grow? A love's not consumed, although it is burning. A heart weeps no tears, although it is yearning. Together. Tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, laika, tumbala, laika, tumbala, laika, freilich. And again. Tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, 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 laika, tumbala, laika, tumbala, laika, tumbala, laika, freilich soll sein. Very good. The next song we're going to do is a little bit of a tongue twister based on some very common liturgy that we sing during our services. It is Adon Olam. We're going to start off nice and slow and then get faster. See if you can keep up. Here we go. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nira, Et Nasach, Be'efso Kol, Azai Melech, Shemo Nikra. You ready? Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nira, Et Nasach, Be'efso Kol, Azai Melech, Shemo Nikra. Yachar Ekekot HaKol, Levato Yimlot Torah, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Oved, Ve'hu Yeh B'tzipara. Adon Olam, Asher Malach, B'terem Kol, Yitzir Nira, Et Nasach, Be'efso Kol, Azai Melech, Shemo Nikra. Yachar Ekekot HaKol, Levato Yimlot Torah, Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Oved, B'tzipara. Ve'hu Haya, Ve'hu Oved, B'tzipara. Ve'hu Echad, Ve'ein Sheni, Lehamshilo, Lehachbira, Ve'hu Nisi, אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעין עשה וחסר כל הזה מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי כתלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובר והוא יהיה ותפארה כל עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעין עשה וחסר כל הזה מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי כתלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובר ותפארה והוא היה והוא עובר ותפארה. Last one, בידו בידו הפקיר רוחי בעת אישם והעירה ועם רוחי גליעתי אדוני לי אדוני לי ולא אירא בטרם כל יציר נברא לעין עשה וחסר כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי כתלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובד והוא יהיה ותפארה לא עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא לעין עשה וחסר כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי כתלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא עובד ותפארה והוא היה והוא עובד ותפארה והוא היה והוא עובד ותפארה והוא היה והוא עובד ותפארה. I saw a lot of you kept up. All right, now as we enter into the service portion, we go to some of our more traditional tunes. We will sing together Ma Tovu into Hine Ma Tov. How wonderful it is that we are all here together to celebrate this happy holiday. Ma Tovu Alechayato Mishkenotecha Yisrael Matovu Alechayato Mishkenotecha Yisrael Matovu Alechayato
In just a moment, we're going to start preparing for our Mariv service. So I'm going to ask if someone can pass out our Megillah Esther. It's going to have our Mariv service, and then we're going to turn into our Megillah reading from there directly.
So feel to put your song sheets towards the middle of the table if you like, and then we'll get them again at the end of the service. In the meantime, let's sing about how wonderful it is to be together. Inne matzovu manayim shevet achim yachad. Inne matzovu manayim shevet achim yachad. Inne matzov shevet achim yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzov shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matzovu manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
So we're going to turn to our Purim Mariv service before we go into our reading for this evening, for our Megillah reading. Our service picks up on page 43 of our pamphlets, page 43 for Mariv service. And I'll begin with our opening in just a moment, once everyone is open to the page. Okay. Hurufum Yikaparabon below Yashki, Beherbalak, Shiba Pobelo, Yair, Kohamato, Adonai Hashiach, Amelakin, Beyom, Korenu.
Please rise for the Baruch. Lai, 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 lai. Lai, 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai We continue on the page if you would like to read the Hebrew with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim v'chochma poteach she'arim uvitmuna mishaneh itim u'machalif et hazmanim u'misader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or u'ma'avir yom u'mevi layla Umavdil ben yom uvein laila Adonai tzivaot shemo. Al chai v'kayam tamid imloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim.
Amen.
We continue on page 43 with Ahavat Olam, singing together. I think it is appropriate that our spiel was Star Wars themed because I always found this tune to be very reminiscent of Star Wars, actually. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha Ahavta, Amcha Ahavta. Torah u'mitzvot, ukim u'mishpatim, otanu lemadeta, otanu lemadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shavteinu, u'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha, v'nismach b'divrei toratecha, u'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed. Ihem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, u'vahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla, ve'ahavata al tasir, imneinu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael.
We turn now to page 44 for the Shema.
Please remain standing as we sing together. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
We join together on page 44 for the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levacha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shnatan levanecha v'divarta bam v'shitecha v'beitecha u'letecha b'derech U'shachbecha u'komecha u'kshartan le'ot al yadecha v'hayu l'totafot b'neinecha u'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. We completely V'ahavta silently at this point. Once completing the V'ahavta, we will turn to page 46.
Because Purim is a joyous holiday, we sing this with a joyous melody, just as joyous as if we ourselves had just been freed from Egypt and found ourselves on the other side of the Red Sea when they sang this song. Please join me for Micha Mocha, page 46. We start with the joyous nigun Yababa, like this. Yababa bim bim bam, Yababa bim bam, Yababa bim bim bam, Yababa bim bam, Yai lai 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 lai, Yababa bim bam, Yai lai 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 lai, Yababa bim bam. Micha Mocha, Ma'alim Adonai, Micha Mocha, Ne'ar B'Kodesh, Torah Tehilo, Sefele, Torah Tehilo, Sefele, Yababa bim bim bam, Yababa bim bam, Yababa bim bim bam, Yababa bim bam, Yai lai 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 lai, Yababa bim bam, Yai lai 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 lai, Yababa bim bam.
Before we turn to Hashkivan, I'm going to chant the remainder to the Micha Mocha. הותחרו בניך בו קיים לפני משה זה אלינו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי קרא אדוני את יעקב וגדול וחזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. We now turn to the Hashkivenu at the middle of page 46.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Fros aleinu sukat shlomecha, fros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Thros aleinu sukat shlomecha, thros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim. Thros aleinu sukat shlomecha, thros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
We're going to now turn to page 48 of our Sidurims, or our pamphlets for this evening. We rise at this time before we turn to the Hatzi Kaddish, followed shortly thereafter with the Amidah prayer. Because I'm listening, we were talking about this earlier. How many Kaddishes do you guys think there are? Kind of curious to know if anyone knows the answer. We learned it in Hebrew school, so some of our Hebrew school kids should be able to tell us. I remember standing over there and saying it. Do you remember? You forgot?
Anyone remember?
Robert? 3?
Yes.
Close. Very close. You weren't there that day, though. You may have just guessed the number. It's a good guess.
Maybe 4.
4 is right. 4 is right. That's right. That's right. So we're doing the Hatzi Kaddish right now. There's Kaddish the Rabbanon. That's the rabbi's Kaddish. We also have the mourner's Kaddish. And then we have another Kaddish that we're going to read later. That is Kaddish Shalem. So you'll notice that they're a little bit different from one another. We have the Hatzi Kaddish, which is what most of everyone here is familiar with anyways. All right. Yitgadal v'yitgadal Shemei Rabbah. V'yamadi b'rafirutei v'yamnech malchutei. V'chayechon u'v'yoymechon u'chayetechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'bizman karit v'yamaru amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mivorach. Le'olam lo me'el maya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitchaman v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei l'kudeshah b'rechu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'alma v'yamaru amen. We now turn to the Amidah Tefillah, the standing prayer found on page 49 of our books.
Now, the one found in our books is different than the one we normally say, so you can follow along in these Megillah books, but we will be doing the Avot Ve'imahot, the matriarchs and patriarchs of our people, as we normally do. Please join me. Adonai sefatati tahu fi gilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotzeinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzhak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Ha'gibor Ha'nerah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasedim Tovim, Ve'koneh Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevih Geula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol Atara leHoshia. Mashiach Ruach U'Marit HaGeshem, Mekalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayeh HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofech Olim, Umatir Asarim, Umekayem Emunato, B'Shenei Afar, Milchamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech V'Mito Mechayeh, Umasmiach Yeshua, B'Ne'eman Atah Lechayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol. We daven silently, and after we've completed davening, we'll join together for Shalom Rav. And you may be seated once you've completed davening. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Ki Atahu Melech Adon Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Le'olam. V'tov beinecha levarev et
a moment, we're going to go to Kaddish Shalem. Also want to draw attention, anything else people picked up on that we changed liturgically from, in addition to adding the matriarchs from our liturgy, so it's aligned with our theological reflections. What was the other thing anyone pick up on that we changed? Come on, someone must. Did someone read the Hebrew? Did anyone read the Hebrew? Okay. Anyone? Go ahead.
I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just take a guess.
Uh-huh.
Something to do about welcoming spring.
Well, that's pretty standard. No, it's standard in the Reformed liturgy, and it's also in here too. That's not it. Any other guess? You took a good guess, though. You took a good guess. Okay, so it says Mechaye Hametim in here, which is the traditional liturgy, but we updated it. Say Mechaye et Hakol, which is bringing life to all rather than describing the revival of the dead. So that's the other liturgical change that we made as well. So speaking of liturgy, guess what we're turning to now? What is the other part of the other Kaddish that I had talked about earlier? One of them? No. What is the other Kaddish? We're turning to another Kaddish right now. Kaddish Shalem, okay? That's one of the other four. We're not going to read them all tonight. We have one, that's the Rabbi's Kaddish. Fortunately, we're not getting to that one tonight, but we have the other Kaddishes. All three this evening we're going to be reading, okay? Kaddish Shalem on page 53, and you will notice this Kaddish has different words in it as well, and the melody of which it is said and recited is different, okay? Yitgara v'yikra shemei Rabba, Amen. V'yamad v'rachirotei v'yamnech ma'achotei b'chayechonu v'yamaychonu v'chayedecho v'yisrael ba'gala v'zman kari v'yamaru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevarak le'olam alamei almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitbar v'yibrama v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei kudusha b'rechu le'ela mikol b'rachata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damram v'yamad v'yamaru, Amen. Titkabel tzlchonu v'chon dechol Yisrael kadom v'chon di shemaya v'yamaru, Amen. Yesh lama Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim alinu v'yokol Yisrael v'yimaru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav v'yaseh shalom alenu v'yokol Yisrael v'yimaru, Amen. So that section in there that we say Titkabel tzlachon v'chon dichol Yisrael kadom v'chon di Shemaya v'yimaru, Amen. That is a separate section that we don't usually include. We don't include that for the Hatzi Kaddish. We don't include it as well for the Mourner's Kaddish as well. It's something that's a little bit different again in this. Okay, we're now going to turn to getting to now the Purim blessings. We're almost at that point where we're going to begin reading from the Megillah, page 56. We're going to turn to page 56. And there's three blessings that are going to be said here. And at the end of each of them, we're going to say Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mikra Megillah. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nesim la'avoteinu b'yamim ha'chem b'zaman hazeh. Amen. And I should say la'avoteinu b'imotenu. So it's matriarchs and patriarchs. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'hekianu b'gmanu b'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. Amen. Translated, blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who has made us holy through the mitzvah and commanded us to read the Megillah. Amen. Blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the world, who did wonderful things for our ancestors in those days and at this season. Amen. Blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the world, who has kept us alive and well and given us the opportunity to celebrate this occasion. Amen. Amen. All right, so we have our Megillah reading that we're going to be turning to. We are going to divide it into chapters, parak, that we have in here, and we're going to have one volunteer read each parak. So do we have a volunteer for our first parak, our first chapter? Come on up. Come on up.
Want to make some noise?
Yes, we're going to be handing out groggers at this time. And I want to point out something else that I'm going to be doing differently this year, okay? I'm dressed up as Chewbacca, so rather than going boo, I'm going to make a Chewbacca sound when we get to that evil man's name, okay? Are you good?
This happened during the days of King Ahasuerus, who ruled 127 provinces stretching from India to Ethiopia. At the time that King Ahasuerus ruled over his kingdom from the capital, Shushan, the fortress. In the 3rd year of his rule, he made a feast for all of his princes, advisors, and army officers. At that party, the king showed off his great riches and the glory of his kingdom. This grand celebration lasted for 180 days. When the celebration was over, the king made another feast for the people of Shushan, great and small, a feast which lasted 7 days. This feast took place in the court of the garden of the king's palace. The palace was decorated with white, green, and blue curtains tied with ribbons of linen and purple on rods of silver and pillars of marble. Benches of gold and silver stood upon a floor covered with red, white, yellow, and black marble. The guests drank great quantities of wine from golden cups in many shapes and forms. For the king commanded that no man was to be forced to drink too much, but only as much as they wanted. Queen Vashti also made a feast for the women. This celebration took place in the palace of King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day of the feast, when the king was a bit drunk with wine, he commanded his 7 closest servants, the eunuchs, Mehuman, Bizetha, Harbona, Bigtha, Abagtha, Zethar, and Carcass, to bring Queen Vashti dressed in her royal crown so that the people could see how beautiful she was. But Queen Vashti refused to parade before the drunken guest. This refusal made the king very angry. The angry king called a meeting of his experts on Persian law, as was customary. The experts were Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marcina, and Memucan, 7 of the most important princes of Persia and Media. He asked what he should do with Queen Vashti, who had disobeyed him. Memucan answered on behalf of the others, "Not only has Queen Vashti disobeyed the king, but she has also offended all the princes and people in every one of the king's provinces. For the news of her behavior will spread throughout the kingdom, and all the women will join her in disobeying their husbands. They will say, 'The king commanded Queen Vashti to appear before him, and she refused to come.' At this moment, the wives of the princes of Persia and Media are answering their husbands the same way Vashti answered you. That kind of attitude will cause family dissension. If the king agrees, let him issue a royal order, a Persian decree that can never be changed. Send Vashti into exile and choose a new queen to replace her. When the king's decision is publicized, wives throughout the kingdom will not rebel against their husbands and will treat them with more respect." The king and his advisors were pleased with the suggestion. The king and his advisors were pleased with his suggestion, so Ahasuerus followed Memucan's advice. The king sent orders to every one of his provinces, each in its language and script, directing that all husbands were to be masters of their homes.
We're gonna have Perik Bet now. I don't think you can hear me. Perik Bet. Who'd like to read our next reading? Come on up. Come on, Lori. Or Zarika, come on up. I saw Zarika was really enjoying the reading, so I'll go back.
Sometime later, when King Ahasuerus calmed down, he realized how severely Vashti had been punished in relation to what she had done. To quiet him, his advisors suggested, "Let us search for the most beautiful girls in the kingdom."
Sorry, I gotta take this off. I'm sorry. Not much help with that thing off.
Let the king send beauty scouts throughout the kingdom who will bring pretty, unmarried girls to the king's harem in Shushan. To Haggai, the harem keeper, who will dress them in royal clothing and beauty. And the girl whom the king chooses will become queen in place of Vashti. This plan pleased the king and he approved it. There was a Jew in Shushan named Mordecai, the son of Jair. Shimei, the son of Kish, Benjaminite. Mordecai had been carried into exile from Jerusalem with the captives who were exiled with Jeconiah, the king of Judah, by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. Mordecai raised Hadassah, whose Hebrew name was Esther, his cousin, for she had no father or mother. Mordecai adopted beautiful Esther as his own daughter. When the king's order was publicized, many beautiful young girls were brought to the king harem in Shushan and placed in Hegai's cage. Esther was Esther was taken into the palace and placed under the care of Hegai, the keeper of the harem. She made excellent impression under Hegai, so he rushed her beauty treatment and gave her 7 servants and the best apartment in the harem. Esther followed Mordecai's instructions and told no one that she was Jewish. Meantime, Mordecai was worried about Esther. Each day he stationed himself near the harem to find out what was happening to her. Before the girls were paraded before King Ahasuerus, they were given a full year of beauty treatment. The girl who came before the king was dressed in special clothes and jewels. She was brought to the king in the evening, and in the morning was placed in the second harem where the king's wives lived. The second harem was in the charge of Shaskas. That girl never saw the king again until he wished for her and especially called for her by name. When Esther's turn came, she asked for nothing special except what Hegai, the keeper of harem, had advised. Everyone in the harem was dazzled by Esther. And Esther was brought to King Ahasuerus to his palace in the 10th month, the month of Tevet, in the 7th year of his reign. The king loved Esther more than anyone, and he crowned her queen in place of Vashti. The king made a great big feast for all of his princes and advisors in honor of Esther. Ahasuerus distributed numerous gifts and canceled many taxes. When the beautiful girls were assembled for the second time, Mordecai was sitting near the king's gate. She did not tell anyone she was Jewish, even though she was a queen. Esther continued to follow Mordecai's instructions. One day, as Mordecai was sitting at the palace gate, 2 rebellious officers, Bigthan and Teresh, were plotting to kill the king. Mordecai got wind of the plot and told Esther about the plot, and Esther immediately told the king and Mordecai's name. The plotters were questioned and they confessed. The plotters were then executed, and the details of this incident were officially recorded in the king's historical records.
You okay? Okay. Perek 3, Perek Gimel. Who is our volunteer for Perek Gimel? Who? Oh, come on up. Which Laura? There's Laura and
Thanks,
Laura.
John.
Sometime later, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, to prime minister. The king ordered everyone to honor and to bow down to Haman. Everyone bowed down except Mordecai. The king's servants asked Mordecai, "Aren't you afraid to disobey the king's order?" Day after day, the officials continued to warn him, but Mordecai still refused. They agitated Haman about Mordecai to see whether Mordecai the Jew would prevail. Haman was very furious because Mordecai the Jew was the only one who refused to bow down to him. When Haman learned that Mordecai was Jewish, he decided to punish him as well as all the Jews in the kingdom. In the 12th year of the reign of Ahasuerus, in the month of Nisan, lots were cast by Haman to choose the day and the month for Pagah. The month of Adar was chosen. Then Haman slyly said to Ahasuerus, "There is a group of people scattered throughout your kingdom whose customs are different from everyone else's and who do not obey the king's laws. It doesn't make any sense to tolerate them. I will be able to pay the treasury 10,000 silver talents if you will issue a decree that they be destroyed." The king agreed and gave his signet ring to Haman, the son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews, with which to seal and sign the order. The king said to Haman, "You can keep the money and still have my permission to do anything you want with them." In the first month, on the 13th day, Haman dictated orders to all governors and princes to every province in its own script and every people in its own language. The order was written and sealed with the king's own signet to ring. Runners carried the decree of extermination to all the provinces in the kingdom. All Jews were included in it. Young and old, children and women were to be killed on the 13th day of the 12th month of Adar and were to be plundered of all their possessions. This order was to be publicized in all the provinces so that the people would be prepared to carry out the decree at the appointed time. At the king's command, the runners raced away, and the extermination order was first posted in Shushan, the capital. Then the king and Haman sat down to drink while the city of Shushan fell into panic and confusion.
Perek Dalet. Who is our next volunteer? What, Laura? Perek Dalet.
Chapter 4. When Mordecai became aware of all that had taken place, he went into mourning, tore his clothing, put on sackcloth, and began to weep and moan. No one in mourning was allowed in the king's palace, so Mordecai stood outside the palace gate. All the Jews throughout the kingdom were in mourning, fasting and weeping, and the Jews wore sackcloth and ashes in public. Esther was very distressed when her maids informed her that Mordecai was in sackcloth and ashes, so she sent new clothing to Mordecai, which he refused. Then Esther sent Hathach, whom the king had appointed to serve her, to find out what the problem was. Hathach found Mordecai outside the palace gates. Mordecai told Hathach about the extermination decree and about the money that Haman had promised to pay into the king's treasury for the right to destroy the Jews. Mordecai gave Hathach a copy of the decree and asked him to show it to Esther and to tell her to plead with the king to save her people from extermination. Hathach told Esther what Mordecai had said. Esther sent Hathach back to Mordecai with the following message. Everyone knows that anyone who comes into the king's presence without a special invitation is put to death, unless the king holds out his golden scepter, and I have not even seen the king in the last month. Hathach relayed Esther's message to Mordecai. Then Mordecai sent this answer to Esther. Do you for 1 second believe that just because you are a queen, you will escape the extermination decree? If you do not intervene, I am positive that help for the Jews will come from somewhere else, but you and all your relatives will perish. I believe that you were specifically brought to this palace just for this emergency. Then Esther sent this message to Mordecai. Gather together all the Jews in Shushan and fast for me for 3 days and 3 nights. I and my servants will also fast. In 3 days I will visit the king unannounced, and if I die, I die. Mordecai left and did exactly as Esther had told him to do.
Ellie? Eric, hey.
Three days later, Esther entered the throne room dressed in her royal robes. When the king saw Esther, he held out his golden scepter and signaled her to approach. Esther approached and touched the tip of his scepter. Then the king said to her, "Queen Esther, tell me what is bothering you. Even if you ask for half of my kingdom, it shall be yours." And Esther said, "Your Majesty, if the king agrees, let him and Haman come to the banquet." And then the king said to his aides, "Hurry, bring Haman so he can attend Esther's banquet." The king and Haman came to the banquet Esther prepared. As the king was drinking his wine, he said, "Esther, tell me, what is troubling you? Even if you ask for half of my kingdom, it shall be granted." Then Esther answered and said, "If the king is pleased with me, and if he wishes to grant my request, then let the king and Haman come to another banquet tomorrow. At this party, I will explain my problem." Haman left Esther's banquet a very happy man. But then he saw Mordecai at the king's gate, and his joy turned to anger, because as usual, Mordecai did not bow down to him. But Haman kept his composure and went home and sent for his friends and his wife Zeresh. Haman boasted to them about his riches, his many children, and the honors which the king had bestowed upon him, and how he was now second to the king. And Haman boasted. Queen Esther even invited the king and I to a banquet at her palace, in her palace, and tomorrow I will attend still another banquet in her palace. But these honors mean nothing to me when I see Mordecai, the Jew, sitting in the gate of the king's palace. Then his wife, Zeresh, and his friends said to him, "Build a gallows 70 feet high, and in the morning ask the king to permit you to hang Mordecai from it. And then you will enjoy your banquet with the king and queen." This advice made sense to Haman, and he ordered the gallows erected.
Eric Vav, who would like to go next? If you want to go, all right. Can I help? I think I can help. Come on, come on. There's gonna be a little bit of some hard words because I'm gonna be helping. And 1 second, Eric Vav. Can you see? Or I'm gonna get you a little step stool.
That night, king could not sleep, and he decided to read the historical records of his kingdom. He read how Mordecai had discovered the assassination plot of Bigthan and Farish and saved the king's life. And the king said, "How have we rewarded Mordecai for saving my life?" And the king's aides replied, "Nothing has been done for him." And the king continued, "Which of my officials are in this palace?" Now, had just arrived to ask the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had just built. And the king's servant says, came in the palace, and the king said, "Bring him in immediately." As Haman entered, the king and said to him, "What shall I do for a man whom I wish to honor?" And Haman thought, "I am the most important person in the kingdom. Of course the king wants to honor me." Replied, "For the man whom the king wishes to honor, bring a royal robe which the king has worn, and a horse which the king has ridden, and place a royal crown on his head. And instruct one of you nobles to enrobe the person whom the king wishes to honor and lead him on a horse through Shushan, proclaiming, 'This is the way the king honors who serve him well.'" Then the king said to Haman, "Hurry, take my royal robes and my horse, and do exactly as you have suggested to Mordecai, and the Jew who now sits in the palace gate." And Haman robbed Mordecai in the king's robes, mounted him on the king's horse, and led him through the streets of Shushan, shouting, "This is the way the king rewards those he wishes to honor." Then Mordecai returned to his post at the palace gate, and Haman sadly and shamefully crept back to his house. When Haman told his wife Zeresh and his friends what had happened, they warned him, "If Mordecai is a Jew, you will never defeat him once he has gotten the upper hand. In the end, you yourself will have a great fall." While they were taking the king's guards up to escort him to Esther's banquet.
Good job. We're at Zion. We're going to turn to chapter 7 now. Who's our volunteer? Other David. We got 2 Davids. 4 Davids. Come on up. You don't need the step stool anymore. Go right in.
The king and Haman came. anyways, came to Queen Esther's banquet. Once again, the king asked Esther, "What is your wish, Queen Esther? Even if you ask for 1/2 of my kingdom, thank you, it shall be yours." Then Queen Esther answers, "If I have found favor in the king's eyes, and it pleases the king, save my life and the lives of my people." Next page. "For I and my people have been sold to those who wish to exterminate us. If we had been sold as slaves, I would have remained silent. But this decree will create many problems for the king." Then King Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther, "Who is this evil schemer, and where is he?" And Queen Esther said, "There sits our enemy, wicked Haman." Haman trembled in terror before the king and queen. The king arose in anger and went into the garden for some air. Well, Haman stayed behind to beg Queen Esther for his life, for he saw that his fate was sealed by the king. When the king returned, he found Haman Haman lying across the foot of Esther's couch, where she was reclining. The king roared, "This evil man intends to rape my queen in my own palace right in front of my eyes." As the king spoke, his guard covered Haman's head. Then Harbana, one of the aides, said, "Sire, the gallows which Haman has constructed for Mordecai stands in his courtyard. Hang Haman." Or the king. So they hung Haman. On the gallows which he had constructed for Mordecai, and the king's anger was cooled. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Perfect. Who would like to read our next one?
On that day, King Ahasuerus gave the estate of Haman, the enemy of the Jews, to Esther the queen. Mordecai was brought before the king, for Esther had told the king what he was to her. The king gave his signet ring, which he had taken from Haman, and gave it to Mordecai. Esther appointed Mordecai supervisor in charge of Haman's estate. Once again, Esther came before the king and begged him to stop the extermination plot against the Jews. The king raised his golden scepter, and Esther arose and stood before the king. Esther said, "If it pleases the king, and if you love me, send out a decree reversing Haman's order to exterminate the Jews in all the provinces of the king. How can I look on while my people are being butchered?" Then King Ahasuerus said to Queen Esther and Mordecai the Jew, "I have already given Haman's estate to Esther and have hanged him because he tried to destroy your people. Now I authorize you and Mordecai to issue new orders regarding the Jews and to seal your decree with my signet ring and in my name. For any decree with the king's name and sealed with the king's signet ring may not be revoked." Immediately the king's secretaries were summoned, and on the 23rd day of the month of Sivan, a decree dictated by Mordecai was sent to the Jews and the governors and princes of the provinces from India to Ethiopia, 127 in all. This decree was written in many languages. Mordecai wrote the order in the name of King Ahasuerus and sealed it with the king's signet ring, and the order was carried by speedy riders on horses, camels, and mules. The king allowed the Jews to band together to defend themselves and to destroy those who would attack and rob them. also their children and their women, and to take their possessions. Mordecai's decree was to take effect on the 13th day of the month of Adar. The order was to be publicized to all the people and enforced in every province, so that the Jews could avenge themselves against their enemies. Messengers rushed out on speedy horses at the king's command, and the decree was also published in the capital Shushan. Mordecai left the king's presence dressed in royal blue and white robes, a golden crown and a cape of purple linen, while the city of Shushan celebrated joyfully. Now there was light and joy, gladness and honor for the Jews of Persia. In every city, as soon as the king's decree arrived, the Jews declared a holiday, filled with joy and gladness, and many of the people converted to Judaism, since they did not want to be harmed.
Thank you, Marta. Thank you. All right, paragraph 9. Who is next? We're going to give someone another chance. If no one else volunteers, David, it will be you. But let's see if there's anyone else who'd like to volunteer. John, it looked like you were going to raise your hand. Or is that a maybe? Come on up. It was the best I had to work with. With all fairness, it was like
I was giving her a high five.
It was like, oh, it was a high five. I'm sorry, I misread it. Okay.
All right. And on the 13th day of the 12th month, Adar, the day of the enemies of the Jews, had chosen for their extermination, the opposite happened. And now the Jews were victorious. The Jews in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus gathered together to avenge themselves against their enemies, and no one opposed them because they were afraid. And all the government officials elevated the Jews to high office because they feared Mordecai. Mordecai had much influence and power in the palace, and his fame was growing. And the Jews defeated all their foes by the sword, destroying their enemies. The Jews defeated their enemies and killed 500 enemies in Shushan. And I knew I should take this. Oh boy, okay. Parshadatha, and Dalphon, and Aspatha, and Paratha, and Adelia, and Aridatha, and Badaba, no, and Pamashta, did I say it already? Yeah, no, I didn't. And Pamashta, and Arisai, and Aredai, and Vaizatha. They killed the 10 sons of Haman, the sons of Hamadatha, the enemy of the Jews, but they did not steal any of their property. That day the king learned how many people were killed in the capital of Shushan. Then the king said to Queen Esther, "The Jews have killed 500 enemies, and the 10 sons of Haman in the capital of Shushan alone. Just imagine what they have done in my other provinces. Now what else do you want? Tell me and I will do it." Then Esther said, "If it pleases your majesty, allow the Jews in Shushan to do tomorrow what they did today, and let Haman's sons be hanged on the gallows as an object lesson for all to see." And the king commanded that it should be done. And the decree was issued in Shushan, and the 10 sons of Haman were hanged. And on the 14th day of Adar, the Jews in Shushan killed 300 more of their enemies, but they did not steal any of their property. I see a theme here. Meanwhile, the Jews in the other provinces gathered together to defend themselves against their enemies. They killed 75,000 of those who hated them, but they did not steal any of their property. See? Another theme. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, they rested, and on the 14th day they celebrated their victory with feasting with joy. The Jews in Shushan assembled on the 13th and 14th days of the month, and on the 15th day they celebrated their victory with feasting and joy. Okay, therefore the Jews who live in the villages celebrate the 14th day of Adar with joyous feasting and by exchanging gifts. Shalach
Mana. You can do it with the Ashkenazi. This is Shalach Manas, Ashkenazi, Shalach Mana in the standard Hebrew.
What he just said.
Okay.
Mordecai reported these events. He sent letters to all the Jews, near and far, to all the provinces of the king, urging them to celebrate the 14th and 15th day of the month of Adar every year as a holiday. It was on those historic days that the Jews were saved from their enemies, and it was a month when their sorrow was changed to joy and their mourning to happiness, making them into days of feasting and joy and of exchanging gifts Shalach Mana, and giving tzedakah to the poor. Does this ever end? And they adopted Mordechai's suggestion and made it a yearly custom. Because Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, plotted to exterminate the Jews by a throw of the dice. Pur. Now I see where the word comes from. But when Queen Esther brought it to the king's attention, he issued an official decree that Haman's evil extermination plan should be on his own head, and that he and his 10 sons should be hung. So today we call this holiday Purim because of the word pur, which means throwing the dice, because of the contents of the letter and because of what happened to them. The Jews agreed to celebrate the holiday of Purim and pass it on to their children. They also decided to observe these 2 days every year, and the days should be remembered and observed by each family in every generation, in every city and province, so that the memory of the days of Purim never cease among their descendants. Then Queen Esther, the daughter of Abihail and Mordechai the Jew, wrote a second letter confirming the establishment of the holiday of Purim. And he sent letters to all the Jews in 127 provinces with messages of goodwill and peace, to confirm that they observed the days of Purim on the correct date, as Mordechai and Esther had decreed, and as they had set for themselves and for their descendants, and including the rules for the fast and the Purim prayers. And Esther's decree officially confirmed the holiday of Purim in writing.
Anyone want to take the last one? This is a short one.
Oh, I could have taken it out.
I know. I believe you were kind of halfway raising your hand. I was thinking, is this the one you want to pick? Is the one you want to pick? Anyone? You want me to do it? I'll do it. David, you want to come up and we'll do it together. We'll read it together. Is that okay? Come on. Stand next to me. It'll have extra ruach from both of us, okay? Alright, we're going to read it slowly together, alright? And the king set a tax on his kingdom and the islands which belong to him, his mighty deeds on account of the greatest of Mordecai, and the honor bestowed upon him by the king are all recorded in the history of the kings of Media and Persia. For Mordecai, the Jew, was second in power to King Ahasuerus. He was respected by the Jews and revered by a great number of his countrymen. He consistently worked for the welfare of his people and for the goodwill of all their descendants. The end. So we're going to turn now to page 57. It's an English blessing that we're going to read together. We'll read it. Blessed is the eternal our God, ruler of the universe, who supported us and passed judgment on our behalf, avenging us by punishing our enemies and liberating us. Blessed is the eternal our God, who has liberated Israel from their enemies. Amen. Amen. We're going to now turn to page 59 of our booklets. Page 59, we're going to rise at this time for the Elena.
Aleinu l'shabbat l'adon hakol, l'ateitu g'lai l'tzeh bereshit, shalom asani ha'ratzo, ve'lo samanu kimishpachot ha'adama, shalom kalkenu kahem, ve'gor aleinu kifal ha'manam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavinu modim, rifnei melech, malchei hamachim, hakadosh baruch. Unetik shamayim le'oseh haaretz, u'moshe yikaru b'shamayim limal, v'shkinatu zo, v'gotei meromim, hu Eloheinu enot, Elokeinu efes
Gulato, Kargatu, Betorato, Viadatayum, Viadatayum, Veshibotayum, Babadeh, Ki Adonai, Hu Elohim, Vashamayim, Mimal, Mi'al haaretz, Mi'al haaretz, Mitzadino, Ve'nemar, Hayadonai, Lemelech al kol haaretz, Vayom Mahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, U'shemo, U'shemo echad. So as promised, we're going to get to 3 Kaddishes today. The last one is the mourner's Kaddish. And so in just a moment, we'll be reciting names from the mourner's Kaddish list. After the mourner's Kaddish list has been read aloud, I'd like to ask if there is anyone who's observing a Yortzeit or in period of Shloshim to please include those names at that time. So for our Yortzeit list for today, we have the following names: Goldie Prestonson, Solomon Namias, Melvin Watien, Harry Rothberg, Max Scholar, Harvey Marcus, Louis Bodock, Marge Francisco, Rachel Becker, Harold Evanson, Toby Rozovsky, Edward Sheff, William Mattress, Sam Pfeifferbaum, Anna Bushbaum, Nanziano, Francis Goldstein, Estelle Rothberg, Rebecca Hoberman, Sean Sinkoff, Milton Goldstein, Saul Burleston, Doris Barron, Edith Sinkoff, Gertrude Silverstone, Jean Better, Samuel Levy, Jenny Goodman, Eleanor Harris, Alan Cohen, Edith Heller, Charlotte Friedman. Are there any additional names anyone is observing a Yortzeit for here today? Yes.
Ilsa Oswald.
Ilsa Oswald. Yes.
Jerry Stein.
Jerry Stein. Yes.
Richard Samuel.
Richard Samuel. Any additional names? Yes.
Francis Saywitz.
Francis Saywitz. Go ahead.
Julia Smith.
Julia.
Julia Smith.
Julius Mintz. Any additional names anyone is observing at yours? Oh, I'm sorry.
Ruth Lewis. Ruth Lewis.
Ruth Lewis, thank you. Any additional names for your side or Shloshim? Go ahead.
Bob Bigos.
Bob Bigos. Okay. All right. And as well, Zango Ben Motul. The Shifra. Words from the Mourner's Kaddish is on page 60 of our booklets. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabba v'alma tibra kilutei v'yamlev ma'achutei v'chayakon u'yomekon u'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael v'gala v'zman kari v'imru amen Yahei shmei rabba mibarak l'olam l'mei maya Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitba'ar v'yitraman v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei l'kodeshah b'rechu Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata d'amrandia amabi imruameh Yeshlama Ralamin Shamaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imruameh Oseh shalom v'imruamav v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. In just a moment, we'll be turning back to some more music material. Again, this is one of those few services that we have every year that we will include all three, or if not, 2, 3, sometimes even 4. We have very few services that we have all of the different renditions to the Kaddish. And this is one of those services, making it liturgically unique from what we have set apart from most of the other services to our year. So, with that, we're going to now be turning back to some more music. We have Avi's going to lead us in 4 songs.
All right, so you may be seated, and if you have your groggers, we can use them one last time. And also you can grab your song sheets, and you know you're going to need your grogger because the name of this song is called A Wicked, Wicked Man. So when we name that wicked, wicked man, now is your last chance of the evening to really grogger his name into oblivion. That's what we're supposed to do. But in the meantime, we also sing the chorus together. Today we'll marry, marry be. It goes like this. Oh, today we'll marry. merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. And lash some lamentation. Oh, once there was a wicked, wicked man, and Haman was his name, sir. He would have murdered all the Jews, though they were not to blame, sir. Together. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. And have some lamentation. And Esther was the lovely queen of King Ahasuerus. When Haman said he'd kill us all, oh my, how he did scare us. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. And have some lamentation. But Mordecai, her cousin Bob, said, what a dreadful chutzpah! If God's word is vented now, this Haman I would shoot, sir. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. And have some lamentation. When Esther speaking to the king of Haman, said he, oh no, he won't, I'll spoil his bad intention. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. And have some lamentation. The guest of honor he shall be, this clever Mr. Smarty, and high above us he shall swing at a little hanging party. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. And have some lamentation. Of all his cruel and unkind ways, this little joke did cure him. And don't forget, we owe him thanks for the jolly feast of Purim. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. Oh, today we'll merry, merry be. And have some lamentation. One more time for good measure. Amen. Alright, turn in your booklets. I believe it's in the open, like page 2. Yes, there is a page number, and it is page 2. At the bottom, Al Hanisim, for all the miracles and all the times that we have been saved throughout our history. Let us give thanks and sing. Al Hanisim, Be'al HaPurkan, Be'al HaPur, Be'al HaTshuv, Al HaMilchamos, She'asita Lavoteinu, Bayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh. Al Hanisim, Be'al HaPurkan, Be'al HaPur, Be'al HaTshuv, Al HaMilchamos, She'asita Lavoteinu, Bayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh. Al Hanisim, Be'al HaPurkan, Be'al HaPur, Be'al HaTshuv, Be'al HaMilchamos, She'asita Lavoteinu, Bayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh. Al Hanisim, Be'al HaPurkan, Be'al HaPur, Be'al HaTshuv, Al HaMilchamos, She'asita Lavoteinu, Bayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh. Bayamim Hahem Bazman Hazeh. We go next to, this song is not in your sheet, but it is one that is in Hebrew and in English. And it is a very, very fun song all about the joy of Purim. And so you don't need the words, you just need to know this chorus, which is all full of la la la. My favorite kind of chorus. La 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 ya la 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 ya la la la. Try that with me. Ya la 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 ya la 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 Please make it once or twice a week because we love you dearly. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya we have one last song.
Yes. I'm gonna share with everyone.
Oh, sure. We have.
So before our final song this evening, this is a little bit unexpected and impromptu, but when Avi came in today, he brought me something, and he had texted me beforehand to tell me about this, and I just wanted to share with our congregation, what he had brought in for us at our congregation. So, okay, here it is. All right. Yes, please. Thank you, I appreciate it. So, you all are familiar with Hazan Wisnia, Avi's grandfather. He was a very important and influential person to our community. Growing up, I had gone to his family synagogue. I remember hearing him singing all the time growing up. He was a very influential person who really helped morph and mold me into the rabbinate that I ended up going into. And Eric, his father, was actually the rabbi at Beth Chaim, not too far from here. And I will tell you, I had planned having a bar mitzvah in Israel for many, many years. It was something that my family were looking forward to. And of course, like every family, that preparation is a very important part of the identity of a Jewish person. And clearly it had a very impressionable impact on me as I became a rabbi. So for me, it was set to be in Israel. And unfortunately, it was set during the period of time of the Intifada. And only about a week or two before the bar mitzvah was set to happen, we had to cut plans and change course very quickly on short notice. Reached out to Eric. We had the bar mitzvah at the synagogue there, and it was something that I learned from both Avi's father and grandfather from these experiences about the rabbinate and about these important events and what they make into a person. And so we know as well, Eric, Avi's father, had passed away recently, and going through some of the clothing in the family home, they actually came across Eric Wisnia and David Wisnia's two cloaks, the cloth that they would wear behind the pulpit. And so Avi has gifted them to me to be wearing for any special occasions, and I would like if Avi would wear as well one alongside with me. So I think this is a really wonderful, phenomenal thing that Avi has shared with me. I'm really happy about it. I'm very honored that of all people, I get to be wearing the cloth. And we read about, most recently in our Torah portion, did bring this up more recently, about the garments that a priestly class will wear. And this right here, my friends, that is it. And I'm very honored. So thank you, Avi. I also shared with Avi, they're watching us, both Tata as well as Zadie, as well as my Tata and my Zadie too. And so thank you.
Okay, so
they're with us.
It's nice to have a little piece of them here, and also something I didn't realize when my mom was going through the closet. My father and grandfather rarely shared the pulpit together. Big personalities, they like to do their own thing. But sometimes they would come together, especially at weddings and funerals and special occasions outside of their synagogues. And we didn't realize this, but their initials are inside, so we can always remember who wore them and where they come from, and now they have a new legacy to carry us into the future.
I think it's very appropriate you wear David's when we do these. And he was a Chazan.
He was also shorter, so
yes.
But no, I'm honored that they will reside here, and may they be put to good use.
Thank you, very honored. Thank you.
All right, so let us continue the celebration with one last song together. A last time to sing together and to use our groggers, because this is a song all about the grogger. In Hebrew, we call it a ra'ashan. So you're going to look on page 2, where it says Chag Purim, the holiday of Purim. And whenever we say the special Hebrew words Havanarisha, which means we're going to make noise, guess what we're going to do? Rash, 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 which means noise, noise, noise. So let's try it right now. When I say Havanarisha, you say rash, rash, rash. All right. So let's try that chorus. Get your grogers ready. Let's make some joyful noise. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. In Hebrew, Purim, a very happy holiday. Purim, Purim, Hagadol HaYehudim, Masevot, Rashanim, Jerim, Berim, Kudim. Get ready! Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Hashanim, Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Purim Day, what a happy holiday. Happy throngs, singing songs, dance the night away. Havanarisha, Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Hashanim, Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash. Havanarisha, rash, rash, rash.
Before you all leave, there's a PSA. Please try to clean up, and also you have your shalach manas or shalach manos, however you like to pronounce it, at the very back of our building. Thank you.
Yes, yes. I appreciate the presentation too. Yes, let's clean up and then we'll get
Sure. Yeah, you let me know when we're.
It's probably good. It probably won't make sense on any other day if I'm dressed like this. So maybe we'll get a little plain clothes.
Yeah, we will.
Sure. It was. Well,
I covered like two of us. I can do it in the evening.
As always.
Thank you, thank you.
Watching the babies even nicer.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I come in Sunday. What time is it? 11 to Oh, yeah. I think Sunday's probably over there. Listen, my wife has something going on. I'll find out.
Very nice, sir. You did a good job. Hi, Ellen.
Mañana, we'll see you.
Nice job.
We want to know
All right, bye. See you soon. Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. How are things going? All right. Yes, it's getting big. Amazing. Time flies. How's he react to music? Yeah. Okay. Got a good ear. Developing that ear. It's easy to see it rock anything. What you're saying without pitching for you. Yeah, we're talking about the music taste. Oh, Renaissance got amazing taste in music. That's very good. Yeah, sure. Right, sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Right, I'm sure it's very niche. Yeah. Oh yeah, well my album, yeah, that'd be like soothing. Yeah. A little whiplash. Oh. Yeah, they are.
When as soon as we saw them, we were like, yep, that's what
Oh wow, you really saw grandfather had the huge pom pom. It was like such a sight.
very orchestrated.
Yes, very like regal.
And you sat there like that.
Yeah.
I didn't swarm in your chair or anything. But I know it was a hard time. But you never forget, you know, it's always fun.
I will make you that yes. I guess it worked out there.
She must know.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's something you're going to would you like to show your
Oh my gosh, there was so much in there. Alright, I'm sure I'll find somebody to give some sweets to.
How was it?
You know what she did? She claimed postpartum depression and she claimed to it's so hard for her. It was so sudden and unexpected. And she was like, you know, it was horrible. So I kept taking pictures and sending them to her. And she's like, oh, I miss you, you know. Oh, I just thought it's so cute. And it's so adorable. And it goes so fast. And my, you're going to see what happens once he starts sleeping. He's just asleep all the time. It's like he's up
You're
to
so nice. You're like my daughter.
Oh yeah, taking the socks off.
It's like that's what Jeannie
How does he stay awake for so long?
Just do the thing. He's overtime.
Can I take a picture?
Sure.
I probably not gonna post for anything.
Is your
If it's easy to take off, I would have used
Yeah.
or you know, you could put a suit jacket over it.
I know you're gonna kick it right off. You're gonna put it on. See those little piggies? See those little piggies? Yeah. Yeah. There's your little piggies. Yes, there's your little toes.
He likes you.
Yeah. You're gonna sleep well tonight.
You're gonna fall asleep in the car.
Yeah. And then will he stay asleep when he transferred?
No,
Like
he'll
soon.
get up when he transfers. If I nurse him, he'll go back to sleep.
Okay. Yeah. Did the time change like this?
What did? Kind of slowly get back to engagement.
Okay. Okay.
Bye, Yelly.
Bye. Good to see you.
Bye.
All right.
Is it time to get out of here?
Is it time to get out of here? I gotta go home to my babies. But they're not babies. It's always hard to. Yeah, they're
Always here. Stay here. Yes, even when you're
There you go. There you go. You get as creative as we need. It's a little more serious.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. It's like Turkish. It's like made in Turkey. Oh, I did. This winter I loaded up on like fuzzy. Will you take a picture of us with we're displaying this.
You want to be more centered in
Yeah.
front of the order? That would be like
Artistic direction here.
okay.
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's the whole thing. Absolutely.
Fantastic job. Your family.
Probably about, I'd say probably about here. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. This was good fun, and we'll do it again for Passover. Yeah. I know you believe I can do it before I do.
Probably just put some screws in the back of the
All right.
And then I had somebody in the chair, so she was over there, so she went downstairs loudly. And then she was afraid to start crying.
Mark?
Bye-bye, I'll see you. And you drive alone, come together, so. See what the car is, you drive.
Rabbi, how tall are you?
Liz, are you still here? I'm going. No, but I'm going, I'll meet you. You're over it.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Go in the morning, you shrink during the day. So, shrink as much as it is. My,
Very nice service.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And very moving,
Thank you.
about the robe. But could you both wear it on the high holidays? Could you wear white?
Well, no, it depends on what holiday, and, you know, you can wear them for a number of reasons. So, what is the story with this? Does anyone, someone brought it in?
No, it's
Just saying.
I know it's Purim, but you know, everybody drives.
Okay, I mean, it's
I need to get home, my girls. Stay up late.
All right, thank you, everybody. I'll see you on Passover.
Last night I went with my school. We finished project 1 o'clock. Hi. Let's see. It was good to see you. Yeah, Stephanie.
2 cars.
Yeah, she's a busy bee. There's a lot of like scholarship essays and things that are due like tomorrow or the next day. I'm sure tomorrow I will grill it for sure. For sure.
Well, I saw you on.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, buddy. Oh, look at this.